The Philippines, a land of beauty, a land of secrets. For years, whispers traveled on the wind. They spoke of a hidden fortune, a golden Buddha encrusted with diamonds. This was the rumored treasure of General Tomoyuki Yamashita, the riches of war, stashed away during World War II. Some dismissed it as a myth, others believed. Among them was Ferdinand Marcos, the Philippines president, a man of power, a man of insatiable greed. Marcos craved the Buddha's gold. He sought to possess its power for himself. His agents scoured the islands. They interrogated, they threatened, they tortured. The legend of the Golden Buddha cast a long shadow. It was a whisper that would not be silenced. It was a promise of unimaginable wealth and a curse for those who dared to seek it. Roger Roxas, an ordinary man thrust into extraordinary circumstances. He was a locksmith by trade, a tinkerer, fascinated by puzzles and mechanisms. His hands were skilled, his mind sharp. In the early 1970s, fate intervened. Roxas met a man claiming to be a descendant of a Japanese soldier. This soldier, he claimed, knew the location of Yamashita's treasure, a fabled hoard of gold and jewels. Intrigued, Roxas agreed to help. The promise of untold riches was too tempting to resist. He assembled a team of treasure hunters, each man driven by the allure of discovery. They followed cryptic maps and coded messages, each clue bringing them closer to their goal. Their search led them deep into the mountains north of Manila, to a place called Baguio, a city shrouded in mystery and legend. There, they discovered a network of tunnels hidden from the world above. The air was thick with anticipation, every breath heavy with the weight of possibility. Each step forward was a step into the unknown, a journey into the heart of darkness. The tunnels were dark and treacherous, but Roxas was undeterred. His resolve was unshakable. He believed the treasure was within reach, just beyond the next bend. He believed he was destined to find it, that his name would be etched in history. He pressed on, deeper into the earth, driven by an unyielding hope, unaware of the darkness that awaited him, the dangers lurking in the shadows. The air grew heavy, thick with anticipation and the scent of adventure. The smell of damp earth filled their lungs, mingling with the humid, almost suffocating atmosphere of the jungle. After weeks of relentless searching, battling the elements and their own doubts, they finally found it. A chamber, hidden deep within the mountain, shrouded in mystery and darkness. And in the center, a sight that stole their breath away. A giant golden Buddha, majestic and awe-inspiring. It sat cross-legged, serene and imposing, as if guarding the secrets of the ages. Its eyes were made of precious stones, glinting in the dim light, adding to its enigmatic presence. Its body gleamed under their lanterns, casting a golden glow that illuminated the chamber. The treasure was real, tangible, and within their grasp. Roxas and his team were awestruck, their hearts pounding with excitement and disbelief. They had found what others had only dreamed of, a discovery that would etch their names in history. But their wonder soon turned to astonishment, as the true scale of their find began to unfold. As they explored further, they uncovered another secret, one that would change everything. Hidden within the chamber, beneath the Buddha itself, were boxes, ancient and untouched. Crates filled with gold bars, diamonds, and precious jewels. The wealth was staggering, beyond their wildest imaginations, a fortune that defied belief. They had stumbled upon one of the greatest treasures in history, a find that would be talked about for generations. But their discovery would come at a terrible price, one that none of them could have foreseen. Word of Roxas's discovery reached the ears of Ferdinand Marcos. The dictator's greed knew no bounds. He coveted the treasure for himself. Marcos dispatched his soldiers to seize the Buddha and the riches it concealed. Roxas and his team were overpowered. The treasure was taken. Roxas was thrown into prison. He became an enemy of the state, a threat to Marcos' power. In the dictator's eyes, Roxas had stolen from him, stolen what was rightfully his. Marcos laid claim to the treasure. He declared it as government property, a national treasure. But his true intentions were clear. He sought to hoard the wealth for himself, to use it to solidify his grip on power. Roxas had become an obstacle, one that Marcos was determined to eliminate. A prison of shadows. Roxas was imprisoned for years. He was tortured, interrogated, forced to reveal the location of the treasure he had already surrendered. But Roxas remained defiant. He refused to acknowledge Marcos's claims. He clung to the truth. He had found the treasure, and Marcos had stolen it. The years in prison took their toll. Roxas emerged a changed man. His body was broken, but his spirit remained unbroken. He had faced the darkness and emerged from it. His resolve hardened. He would fight for justice. He would fight to reclaim what was stolen from him. He would become a thorn in Marcos's side, a constant reminder of the dictator's crimes. The price of truth. When Marcos was finally overthrown in 1986, Roxas saw a glimmer of hope. The oppressive regime that had silenced so many voices was finally crumbling. He filed a lawsuit against the Marcos family, seeking justice for the wrongs he had endured. He demanded the return of his treasure, a treasure that had been taken from him under the shadow of tyranny. The world watched as Roxas took his fight to court. He faced powerful adversaries, individuals who had long wielded influence and power. The Marcos family fought tooth and nail to protect their stolen wealth, using every resource at their disposal. The legal battle raged for years, becoming a drawn-out struggle that tested the limits of endurance and patience. It became a symbol of the struggle against corruption and greed, a beacon for those who sought to challenge the status quo. Roxas became a folk hero, celebrated by many as a man who dared to stand up against overwhelming odds. A symbol of the little guy standing up to power, his story resonated with countless others who had faced similar injustices. But the fight took its toll. Roxas faced constant threats, a reminder of the dangers that came with challenging powerful figures. His life was in danger, and he had to take precautions to protect himself and his loved ones. But still, he refused to back down. His resolve was unshakable, driven by a deep sense of justice. He had come too far, sacrificed too much. The years of struggle had only strengthened his determination. The treasure had become more than just gold and jewels. It was a symbol of his fight, a tangible representation of his quest for justice. It represented his fight for justice, a fight that had inspired many to join the cause. His fight for his dignity, a fight that would be remembered for generations to come. Echoes in the courtroom. The court case dragged on. Years turned into decades. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses recanted their testimonies. The long shadow of Marcos's corruption still loomed large. Powerful forces were working against Roxas, trying to silence him, to erase his story. But Roxas refused to be silenced. He continued to fight. He knew the truth, and he was determined to see it recognized. The world watched and waited. Would justice be served? Or would the golden Buddha and the truth it represented remain lost in a web of deceit and corruption? The vanishing point. In 1996, a glimmer of hope. A Hawaiian court ruled in Roxas's favor. They recognized his claim to the treasure and ordered the Marcos estate to pay him billions of dollars in compensation. It was a monumental victory, a triumph against all odds. But the victory was short-lived. The Marcos estate appealed. The Philippine government, now led by Ferdinand Marcos's own son, refused to enforce the ruling. The money never materialized. The golden Buddha and the vast fortune it represented vanished once again into thin air, lost in a labyrinth of legal loopholes and political maneuvering. The treasure, it seemed, was destined to remain elusive, a phantom, forever out of reach. A life upended. Roger Roxas died in 1993. He never saw the resolution of his case. He never recovered his treasure. His life had been consumed by the search, by the fight for justice. He had stared into the abyss of greed and corruption and emerged forever changed. Some say he died a broken man, his dreams shattered, his spirit crushed by the weight of his ordeal. Others remember him as a hero, a man who dared to challenge a dictator, who fought for what he believed in, no matter the cost. His legacy remains a complex one, A tale of incredible discovery, of unimaginable loss, and of the enduring power of greed and corruption. The legend endures. The Golden Buddha, if it ever existed, has never been recovered. It remains a source of speculation, a tantalizing mystery that continues to capture the imagination. Was it real, or just a product of myth and wishful thinking? The truth, like the treasure itself, remains elusive, lost somewhere in the mists of time. But the legend endures. A cautionary tale whispered on the wind. A reminder that some secrets, some treasures, are best left undisturbed. For the pursuit of such riches can come at a terrible cost, and some prizes, once grasped, can never truly be possessed.